Hey, welcome to Papa's These Bees. We're going to do something just a little bit different today. I've got some things we're going to do. We're going to kind of winterize our nuke. One of the problems that I ran into with the nukes, I bought a nuke from Man Lake. I don't know if you can see this over here, but there's a big gap right here where this piece came from Man Lake. This came from Better Bee. You can see how much room there is. So that means you're not getting good coverage, so therefore you're not going to get good insulation from what little wood you get from insulation. So what we're going to do today is we're going to replace the bottom board and the bottom brood box with all Better Bee stuff, so it will all fit and it'll work better. But while we're doing it, we're going to do some other things as far as getting winterized. This stuff here is called Reflectix, and I heard about this from Fred Dunn. This little thin material here is a good insulator as long as you've got an airspace above or below it. So with just the material itself, it's not but about a 1 or 2 R factor, but with an airspace, it can go up to 21. So it's a really good thing. It cuts really good with scissors, and I've even applied it to the underside of the nuke bottom board, so I could insulate that a little bit. So I'll put some information on this on links on the bottom. One of the things we're going to do also is check. The last time I was in this nuke, it had a real small, unfinished, only about maybe 15% full of honey, of wax. And so we're going to replace that if we need to. We're also going to go change from the full feeder that we use from Better Bee, which is a Be Smart Designs. We're going to go to the Rapid Round, which is a little bit easier to use. Before we get started, we have been using this, which is the Hive Butler, or the Hive Butler, the Hive Gate, which really shuts down your entrance size and then allows them to come out here open. But what it basically does, it prevents robbing from other insects, including bees. We're going to put a wooden introducer around this on the new bottom board. So we'll get started. Okay, again, so what we're going to do is we're going to remove this bottom brood box and the bottom board and replace it with one I got from Better Bee, which is smaller. One of the problems we got into here is we get some kind of wonky comb because there's too much space for the 5 frames. So we'll shut this down. This should help quite a bit. Kind of get them alerted with the smoke. I'm going to look a little bit in here and see what I can find. What looks good. I believe this is the frame that needs to be replaced. Yeah, it still doesn't have much on it. So what we'll do is we'll replace this with one that I had in the freezer. So we'll move this on over here on the table. And in the past, this is where the queen has been. So we'll see. There's not any nectar or anything in here, so we're going to need to start feeding them. Although there is some nectar. Yeah, there's some nectar. So we're kind of in that. Yeah, there's lots of nectar over on this side. I don't know if you can see it or not, but just lots and lots of nectar. So that's good. So there is a fall flow, which is I thought there was. Don't see the queen. So we'll move on a little bit here just to kind of see what else is going on in the hive. I was kind of hoping she's down on the bottom, but you just don't ever know. Lots of, I don't know if you can see it, but there's lots of good larvae in here. Not much of a brood pattern because she has yet to start laying for the winter. So, plus this is the upper box, which hopefully a lot of times they'll reserve for nectar and stores. There's the queen. You can see her right there, big old fat pretty thing. So I'll put her back in there. want to look at this next frame because I'm pretty sure it's got lots of honey on it, so which is good because they'll need that. Yeah, there's some brood, so she's laying over here. It's just she hadn't start, you know, she's not laying a lot. Of course, again, this is the upper box, so. Move the little visor off. So what, again, I want to put this box down in there since she's in the top box. Because I certainly do not want to lose her. These hive butlers are good for a lot of things, and this is one of them, to kind of protect your queen. Okay, so we've got the two boxes here, the new box and the old box. And so again, we'll just start moving. I don't know if you can see what we're seeing in here, but there's a lot of just a real wonky comb, again, because this thing is so wide. It's supposed to be a 5-frame nuke, and yet there's a space here almost enough for another frame. So lots of pollen in here. Some framed honey or capped honey. Lots of bees. Well, yeah, lots of some framed or some capped honey, some capped brood, lots of pollen. So this is a good frame here. Lots of larvae in here. Some eggs. Yeah, she's laying in here. So again, she's starting to ramp up for the winter. Lots of pollen in here, but not much brood. I really wish she would move down into here, but you can't tell her what to do. She's going to do what she's going to do. Not much at all here. So we'll put them all in there. Now comes the fun part. I got to separate and get these bees all inside that nuke. I'll move this one back over where it was. And this is the hive gate that they've been using. Most of the bees down here are going to be foragers, so we won't lose anything here. So I'm just going to lay this down where they can get out and get back in. And then now we'll just reassemble. Seeing these fit together so much better. Got an unevenness here I got to deal with. So now we're going to scoot all this stuff over. Queen's on this frame. So we'll unpackage this one frame we had in the freezer and then drop it down inside, simply because it has more drawn comb in it. It'll give them more space to bring in food and prepare for winter. It's kind of tight fit here. There we go. There we go. So we've got them ready from that standpoint, and now we'll put the bottom board back on here, or excuse me, the feeder shim. Now we'll take the rapid round feeder that we've got and put it up in the feeder area up here. This will allow me to feed them without disturbing them. And so there we go, they're done. Now one thing I want to do is I want to take you over to the flow hives and show you how I use that Reflectix stuff. So we'll pause here and be back in just a minute. Okay, this is what I was talking about. There's a wonky comb stuff they built because this thing is too wide for 5 frames and not wide enough for 6. So this is why we're replacing it. What I'm probably going to use these for is for swarm traps next year. Okay, so this is this is the flow hive. If you haven't seen the flow hive, we have the flow super, which is where you can drain the honey. But one of the things that Frederick Dunn talked about when he talked about the Reflectix, which is where I heard from it was talked about using it on the inside of the flow frame or on the flow hive roof. It's got a nice, pretty gable roof. And in the past, I've just used styrofoam, and it was too thick and kept the lid raised. So what I did is I basically measured a piece for this and just stapled it in place. So it's there and it fits pretty well. The way this Reflectix works is that it needs an air gap. So just like this again is maybe 1 to 2 R factor, but just the amount of airspace between here and this level here would give it as much as like an R12, so which is a lot. So I also added this on the top of the inner cover to create another layer of the insulation above the first air gap, and then still a air gap below. So this should really give them some good insulation for the winter. This hive stays a little bit cold because it's back here in the corner. So that's what I wanted to show you. One more thing I wanted to show you. This is our garden, one of our garden areas. Last year, I purchased some tomatillo plants, which are, if you're not familiar with them, they look like tomatoes, little green things that you use for verde sauce and things such as that. Well, I planted them and the bees went crazy for them. I mean, it had 2 plants, and at any given time, I may have had 50 bees in those 2 plants. They grow pretty big, as you can see. And right now, and then these just came up volunteer from the little seed pods. This is a tomatillo seed pod, and it will get larger, and eventually, as the fruit inside will fill out the area in here, and then this starts to crack and break, and that's how you know they're ripe. If you watch long enough, you can see some bees in here. There've been bees all day today out here. It's getting a little bit late in the day for them, but still, it's an awesome plant for bees. They get on these little yellow flowers just constantly. So something you have to think about if you're going to look for something to plant. Again, these just came up volunteer from last year. I couldn't find any of the plants to purchase this year. So, being a beekeeper, is part of it is being a good botanist. Well, not really, but just one who is concerned about what things to plant. There's a bee right there. There's a big old bumblebee too. I saw the bumblebee this morning when I was out here. So they really like to get in that tomatia. There she goes. And there's one of our bees right there. So anyway, think about that when you go to plant stuff next year. Hey, thanks for joining today. We had a few things to cover. I hope you found them interesting. I hope you found them helpful. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. Follow the little bell there at the on the side, and that'll be notify you when we put out new videos. Remember, subscribing costs you nothing. It's just simply a way to let you find us easier. Thanks for watching, and check us out next time. Appreciate it.